Every lottery ticket purchase keeps education in our state moving forward. In fact, the lottery has raised more than $200 million for state school buses to get our students to school safely every day. Then, the lottery helps those students go even further in their education by funding the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. So remember, when you play the lottery, you're keeping South Carolina students on the road to success. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Roku has what you need to make your college home away from home feel more like your own. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TV. Or bring a Roku streaming stick to easily access all your favorite free and premium content like iHeartRadio. Stream your favorite playlist with the Roku Vibe Setting Smart Light strips to sync your music to millions of colors and make your dorm feel more like you. Make your dorm the place to be with Roku TVs, streaming players, and smart lights. Head to Roku.com or your favorite retailer to deck out your dorm.
Sounds of hockey. Wild. I love it, baby. Woo. Yeah.
Shall we begin?
Threw it in front. Ogren trying to dance in front. Couldn't get a shot through. He comes back to Ogren, and he scores! Liam Ogren with his second career NHL goal. His first this season. The Wild draw first one in the second period. They're in front of the Canadiens, 1-0. Quick shot by Anderson, stopped by Fleury. Rebound in the slot. Loose puck. Anderson a try, and a right shoulder save by Fleury. Stopped him 3 times here on this shift alone. Struble to the blue line, right side, broken stick for Hartman. A long shot by Struble, tipped wide in front. Canadiens making their proverbial push as they center. Rolling stop by Fleury, a 2-pad slide as he robbed Anderson again. Now a point draw by Anderson, and that one went wide. Boy, the Flower putting on a show in the third on this sequence alone.
Oh, what's going on? It is TRIA time for 9 to noon. It is VOX in the Box from the capital city of St. Paul. We have a VOX in the Box today with the Minnesota Wild contesting the Carolina Hurricanes this evening, right around the corner at XL Energy Center. This is the penultimate game for the Minnesota Wild before the Four Nations face-off break. And 9 to noon thought it would be appropriate for us to be here today because we're looking for one in a row for Zach Bogo. One in a row for Zach Bogo. One in a row for Foligno. One in a row for Foligno. It's with Brett Blakemore guiding the Great Ship Love Covenant from the 651 Carpets Plus studios at FM 100.3 KFAN. I was wondering how deep into the arsenal he would have to go to find Minnesota Wild highlights because
specifically goals.
Right, one in a row for Zach Bogo, one in a row for Foligno. Sure beats everywhere we go, we score O. Everywhere we go, we score O. Everywhere we go, we score O. I mean, we've been shut out. We've been shut out back-to-back games. But the good news is when you return to the self-proclaimed state of hockey, where all of the Billies and Johnnies and Christies and Susies and Tamikas and Antoines begin playing hockey at a very early age, The parents in passive-aggressive fashion will pretend like they don't enjoy getting up at 5:30 in the morning, loading up all of the hockey equipment, arguing with Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Tamika, or Antoine about getting up and having their first of 3 or 4 squares during the day to go to hockey practice. But they really deeply in the cockles of their hockey-loving souls, they love what they're doing, and we appreciate what they're doing, and that plays into the state of hockey. But when it comes to, trying to avoid everywhere we go, we score O. Everywhere we go, we score O. Trying to not get shut out again. You come back to the state of hockey, and you, what's the record? 500, slightly losing here, something like that, 11-12 and something?
I think it's 11-12 and then 3 or 4 OT losses. So it's a losing affair here at the X.
Oh! That's a kick in the old state of hockey mantra. So how do we win tonight? How do we win tonight against the speedy Carolina Hurricanes, featuring the likes of Brent Burns, who used to be one of the guys? How do we win tonight? Let's go to the Elite Hockey Mind Desk, and here's Miko Nordo. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I don't have a good answer for you at this stage. Their inability to score goals, and that combined with still trying to handle that suspension of Ryan Hartman, the injury, of course, to Kaprizov. Where is the offense going to come from? Meanwhile, the Minnesota Wild handled the Canes earlier this year down in Raleigh. But since then, the Canes have added Mikko Rantanen. They made that trade last month, and he's jumped into the mix, I think, coming from Colorado. Taylor Hall as well, although he's been bouncing around and always kind of underperformed what were big expectations for him. This is going to be a situation, I can't wait to hear whether it's from Joe O'Donnell around the corner, it's Russo. They're in a spot right now. For instance, everywhere we go, we score O. The fact is, I think, at least from my perspective, you watch that Boston game, there were heavy stretches of that game where you're thinking the Wild are in charge of this game. The Wild are handling their business. They're doing everything. They held on through the first, and ultimately McAvoy made it 1-0, and that was it from there. But where is the offense going to come from? I don't have any good answers. Boldy's been up and down over the course of this year. They're getting healthier in totality, but where's that offense at? And special teams have just been the bugaboo for this team, it feels like, for a decade. They can't win face-offs to save their lives. So, and in particular, I was talking with somebody prior to the show, like, what is up with this very much an outlier season in terms of their performance at the X? You look over the course of the time of the Minnesota Wild's existence, the home ice at the X has been very friendly to our favorite hockey team, to the Christmas colors.
Well, state of hockey.
And so what's up with that? I think this team wants to definitely get into that Four Nations break. But in terms of how do they win tonight against this Canes team that has done nothing but kind of ramp themselves up as they look at the Eastern Conference playoffs, I think it's going to be an absolute pain-in-the-ass type of game tonight. It's got to be lower scoring, I believe, if they can grind out a win. And that's the best chance that the Wild have of impressing their home fans at XL Energy Center this evening.
How do the Kansas City Chiefs win Sunday on KFAN, and why?
Well, geez, okay. Well, let me sit down here. They win on Sunday because they figure out how to stop Saquon Barkley. They figure out how to force Jalen Hurts into a turnover. And they figure out how to stymie that defensive front. And does that mean, similar to what we saw in the Bills game, that Patrick Mahomes is getting outside, using his legs a bit more? He had 43 rushing yards, I believe, in that game against the Bills. That could play a factor into it. Can they sustain any sort of run game? And in the end, their creativity with those 6-7-yard bits that turn into 15 and 20-yard bits, getting Xavier Worthy some yak. I think in the end, keeping it close and having the ball at the end, that's not breaking news or shocking by any means, but I think that massively favors the two-time defending champs looking for a three-peat.
How does Philadelphia win the Super Bowl Sunday on KFAN, and why?
Well, I think they do what they're going to do, PA. Is Jalen Carter and that defensive front is going to harass Patrick Mahomes, and Saquon Barkley is going to run for a mile. And as they work to focus on that, I think you're going to see open opportunities, specifically with Goddard. And I like Devontae Smith in this game. A.J. Brown's going to get his, and he attracts a lot of attention. But in the end, with the way Spags blitzes, whether it's Bolton, it's Tranquil, and the way he moves things around, it's formidable in itself, no doubt about it. He's going to come correct with creativity on Sunday. But in the end, I think what you have here is an offensive line that Vikings fans are dreaming about. I mean, if you know, the conversation as we get through free agency and into the draft and all of that is all about how we can have some semblance of the offensive line that Philly has. If they stand up, if they're any form of healthy with Juergens back in the center spot starting, it sounds like he's been all right with the back. Dickerson had that hobbled knee a couple of weeks ago, but it sounds like he's going to be fine. And their ability to keep Jalen Hurts upright is absolutely going to change this game. And if Chris Jones can't change this game, if Karlaftis can't change this game, you're going to see 400 plus yards of offense by the Eagles, and they're going to put 35 on the board.
Mucho State of Hockey conversation 9 to noon from TRIA Rink in St. Paul, with the Minnesota Wild set to skate today at 10 a.m. We have a 6:30 puck drop tonight, and when they move the game back a half hour, that throws not only caution to the wind, but it throws the general VOX in the box schedule off a little bit. Generally, this would be a Heinze spot, head coach of the Minnesota Wild. But John Hines, the coach, will be joining today at about 11 o'clock. He'll be followed by former Wild goaltender Alex Stalock with some big news at about 11:15.
Ooh, you asked me about have you moved at all off the Eagles?
No.
You're still where you at. It's been consistent throughout.
Yeah,
and that's mostly where I have been as well. And I keep trying to talk myself. Do you ever experience this when you're trying to find the right answer? You are so steadfast in something, but you get these little things that peek into your head, and they try to tempt you. They tempt you to go the other way. And so far, I've stood tall on Philly. But it's tough betting against one of the greats of all time.
Well, speaking of the word steadfast, do the Minnesota Timberwolves have a winning formula in steadfast fashion that emerged last night? Now it's we're at TRIA Rink today for a VOX in the Box, and we got just a couple of minutes left in this segment. Thus, we bring it up at the very end of a segment because it's incredibly controversial. It's a very, very controversial talker that the likes of Chris Finch and Pablo Prigioni and Aaron Freeman and Sarah Perez and Ryan Tanke are just all twisting in the wind with right now. You see, the Timberwolves, in a quite predictable fashion, given the circumstances, beat the Chicago Bulls last night. Naz Reid started the game with Julius Randle hurt. What about Naz Reid, the starter, when Julius Randle comes back? What about Julius coming off the bench, not playing so much with Anthony Edwards? So therefore you have a 1 and a 1A, kind of a Batman and a Robin, even though people will look at the deal and in quite impetuous fashion, we'll say Batman and Robum, like we've been robbed in this deal. But we're going to go and let the thing play out a little bit. Naz Reid, the starter, who wants to have the conversation with Julius Randle that, you know what, like you'll come in and Ant will still be in. And it's going to be weird, like it has been the entire season, because Julius has some ball hog to him, and Anthony puts on that beautiful smile and that beautiful giggle and the happiness that is quite honestly effervescent with Anthony Edwards. But there could be part of playing some time with Julius Randle that he doesn't necessarily appreciate.
So you potentially do an overlap of sorts where Ant plays first 8-9 minutes of the first quarter, for instance. Then Julius comes in, maybe Ant finishes out the first.
No, Ant stays, Naz leaves, Julius comes in.
Right, 8-9 minutes, and they overlap maybe towards the end of the first quarter.
And then Julius becomes the A topic for the bench mob. We isolate Julius and let him do his thing. I think in theory that sounds good. I really like what I see with Naz Reid when he gets the opportunity to start. Not exactly sure how to completely compartmentalize Julius Randle and Anthony Edwards more than halfway into the season. I like most of it. There's some of it I'm just not exactly sure how it's going to work in certain situations. But the weird thing is where you're like, hey, do human nature related things poke at you and try to get you off your paces when you're thinking about the Eagles minus 3.5 or 7.5 or winning the game? Well, that plays into this too, because I love Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle together late in a playoff game, and it's a tightly contested game.
Right.
You know what that is. Pick your poison.
Pick your poison.
Go ahead and pick your poison here. I mean, we're going to isolate him. Go ahead and double him. We got my man over here. Go ahead and double him. We got Ant over here.
Yeah.
So I love that situation, but it's just getting there. Now, who wants to have the conversation with Julius Randle that when he returns, he's coming off the bench?
Yeah, no kidding. I don't want to have that.
I do want to hide the women and children related conversation.
I do want to pick your brain when we have more time, because there are moments like last night's game and watching it where there is no Julius in the mix. It is a bad hoops team. Bulls tried to make it competitive, but they were going to fade unless Kobe White kept doing what he was doing in different stages, and suddenly it was going to get weird, but they pull away. Ant is going to take those triples, and he's having one of the elite three-point shooting seasons that we've seen from anyone not named Steph Curry in a very long time. So you love the triple production. But I think where he was most effective and what mattered most ultimately to what turned out to be a lopsided win, getting to the rim and drawing fouls, man, 17 to 18 at the line. And there was an aspect, I think, at stages specifically in the fourth where he's like, I can taste 50 coming, and he misses that one of those final free throws.
He was so tired.
Missed a couple of layups throughout as well. But
4-inch vertical, though.
But in the end, the Julius and the Ant thing, there are moments where it's elite and it's high end, totally with you. But I'm wondering how Finch handles Ant. Love you taking those shots, and ultimately I can't put a governor on that and limit that. But I need you to get to that rim. How do we get that aggression every single night? And because if he's taking 12, 13, I mean, last night 18 was a lot, but if he's taking that many free throws a game and he's shooting them at a 90 a clip, then we're going to win a lot of games, and he's going to put a lot of points on the board. And I need to see that aggression, hopefully, more consistently than just versus, in some ways, a hapless Bulls team.
Now, 9 to noon with this wonderment is not claiming to be the elite Naismith Mind Covenant. We are not claiming to be the elite John Wooden Mind Covenant. I'm just wondering, what would it be like if Julius Randle offered some pop off the bench? He and Nas played differently, and they're both good.
Sweet.
Nas is more of a three-point, consistent three-point threat, and they both handle the ball well. But I was just thinking about that last night, and more so wondering.
Finch will let you tell him.
Well, what it would be like to be the proverbial fly on the wall during the conversation. Well, that's the fun part of the talker. Houston's here tonight. That's a
here you go, Micah.
A super Micah, you want to coach? Hey, you got a taste in the postseason, didn't you? We'll go have this conversation. That's awesome. So Houston's here tonight on the other side of town. That's a young, spry bunch. And
I'm in Thompson, though.
We're on a back-to-back. Now, there also have been so many massive, holy cow, with these trades in the NBA. I mean, Jimmy the Bulldog got moved.
Yeah.
We have massive trades in the NBA. We'll discuss about 30 minutes from now. Sacramento debuted Zach LaVine last night, and that was really special for all of the Kings, Billies, and Johnnies, and Christies and Susies and Antoines and Tamikas buying those Zach LaVine jerseys at home game, and you get run by 20. That's sweet. To Orlando, at least an NBA championship caliber team.
That's why you buy jerseys, not jerseys.
That's the lot in life to a certain extent around the association. Super Bowl's this weekend, Wild Carolina this evening, and on that, actually both the aforementioned final two topics yours truly just rattled off. Joe O'Donnell, the Philadelphia raised and Minnesota living radio play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Wild. He'll join us around the corner, Russo Radio at 10 o'clock. Heinze joins at about 11, then the goaltender at about 11:15. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen, and here's Brett Blakemore with the cash thing. Good morning, y'all.
Good morning. I've got the cash thing. The fan wants to give you a shot. Put $1,000 in your hand at the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com, enter the keyword money. The keyword is money. KFAN.com, keyword money.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Join the common man at 5 Iron Golf in Minneapolis tonight. You can join the official, unofficial ambassador to Minnesota Golf at 5 Iron's newest location in North Loop, 5 to 7 p.m. Check out their simulators where you can play iconic courses, enjoy chef-inspired dishes, craft cocktails, enter to win great prizes in a closest to the pin challenge. Hit some knockdown punch cut fades. RSVP now for this free event, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Joe O'Donnell. How are you?
What's up, PA?
Wild Joe Radio, Wild Joe Hockey, Wild Joe Radio, right?
Yep, you got it.
Wild Joe Radio via the X Machine. He's the play-by-play voice for the Minnesota Wild on the radio and the KFAN vast and ever-expanding Wild Audio Network. And he's joined us here at TRIA Rink for VOX in the Box. What's the long play with the hair? Your hair's the longest I've ever seen it. It looks fantastic.
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's thick, it's rich. What's the long play here? You like letting it grow out because you should?
No, the salad's got to go here in the near future, and I got ready hanging upside down today. That's a line that I've heard a few times over the years.
What's that mean? Was somebody calling you a monkey?
Well, Brad Bombardier used to tell me my hair was like a snowflake. It's different every single time,
but the same. Yeah, it's hair, but it's different, right?
Yeah.
The TV game this evening? It's not Fox Sport. It's not.
No, it's an ESPN Plus production. Right. I'm not sure who's on the call. To be honest,
LaPanta may be here today, but he's not calling the game on TV. Here's the suggestion. Here's the point.
Okay.
And this is certainly not trying to run anybody out of business or work or anything. That hair, though, is TV worthy.
That's good hair.
I don't know if it's like a 1 or 2 game simulcast here just to get the hair on TV.
Okay.
While we hear you call hockey games in fantastic fashion on FM 100.3 KFAN, your audio home for Minnesota Wild hockey. But the thick, voluminous nature of this hair is TV worthy. So I don't know who the Vox is for ESPN Plus tonight. I'm going to get home about 12:25 and start actually working on figuring out how to time up ESPN Plus with my favorite play-by-play guy, Joe O'Donnell. That's about a 4-hour thing on the audio network. But that hair is TV worthy, man. I'd keep it if I were you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Usually I get told face for radio, so I'll take the other side of the coin for once.
You attended Havertown High School, correct?
Haverford High, yeah.
Haverford.
Yep.
Haverford. Okay, let me ask you this question. So you were stone cold hockey guy, playing it, really getting into it, formative years, thinking, hey, might be cool to call this one day, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe, having watched 2 episodes now of something new that came out called Making of a Legend. It's about Kobe Bryant. Did you ever go? You're smiling. You know exactly where I'm going. He played at your high school in some huge games, and I've seen it now both episodes, and I kept looking for Radio Joe in the crowd with the beautiful hair and everything. But do you remember those days when Kobe Bryant, because you guys are like 2 years separated age-wise, God rest his soul, I think he's 2 years older than you. So let's say he's a senior, Joe's a sophomore or thereabouts. I mean, do you remember how ballyhooed and hyped Lower Merion High School with Kobe Bryant was coming to your little high school on the outskirts of Philadelphia?
Yeah, I do remember that. You'll be a little disappointed, though. I never went and watched him play.
Of course you did. You're a hockey guy.
I do know a kid that was dunked on him, so that's pretty cool.
Wow. So you went to high school the same time he was blowing up at Lower Merion.
Yeah. So Haverford High wouldn't really get a huge crowd for the basketball games that I would remember, but if Lower Merion was playing because of all the hype around Kobe. And Lower Merion is just a few minutes down the road, so they are rivals school-wise. So it's kind of cool, and obviously looking back on it now, you go, man, that's a missed opportunity. You know, maybe I was at hockey practice. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the hype around it. It's in the '90s, so it's different now.
Yeah.
I mean, we start hearing about kids when they're like 9
12.
years old doing some AAU type stuff. What was the hype, though, around Kobe? You mentioned the rivalry and all of that, but if they were coming to your barn on a Friday night, was that a conversation of, like, when Lower Merion was potentially going to be at the school, when Kobe was potentially going to play at Haverford?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where you're like, this kid is legit, and he's going to be something. And you knew that much, right? But to your point, Nordo, there wasn't social media. There weren't even freaking cell phones unless they were the size of a laptop bag. So, and you were keeping them in your car glove box. So
you might have like a prep phenoms page in the Philly Inquirer, and Kobe's face was on it probably at a regular basis.
Probably the Inquirer high school sport. I mean, I remember you used to look at, if you wanted to find out what was going on around the other high school sports or see if your name made the paper, you'd grab like the, what was the little local one? Not the Inquirer, but there was another Delaware
Examiner?
County Times.
Oh,
Delaware County Times.
Delco.
Yep.
And it's the old Delco.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
You grab Delaware County Times and you flip to the sports, and they'd have the high school sports listed out from field hockey to soccer to whatever. So,
Yeah, I'm sure Kobe was getting a lot of run then.
Yeah, I mean, then I guess,
that's cool.
My question's going to be, my wonderment with this is going to be overstated, I think. But in watching, and this is like this making of a legend, it just popped a couple of weeks ago.
What's it on?
It's a CNN production. Okay, so they put the whole thing together. It's really, really well done. And I've seen like a documentary on Kobe before, and I thought it was pretty cool. This is different, man. I mean, this is like vivid. Havertown, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is vivid in-gym video.
Oh, cool.
It's I don't know what they did to doctor it to make it look so recent, but it's beautiful.
Yeah, because those are camcorder days.
Right. And I mean, all the high schools, not only yours, but like the Eagles at that time, or the Sixers, or maybe the Phillies might have been pretty good at that time. But the Flyers, the Eagles, and so on, is Kobe Bryant. For maybe if only a year, he was like as popular or talked about as all the pro sports teams at that time for just a little bit. Do you remember that?
Well,
or is that overstated?
I don't know if it's overstated or not, because we're going back 30 years, but I'll say that like the Big Five in Philadelphia, as far as basketball goes, like the Palestra is like a gym that is still standing today, that is God knows how many years old, and that's where all those city schools used to play.
Yeah.
Like I just had a chance to go. No, the college teams.
Like Temple.
Yep, exactly. St. Joe's. Drexel, like all those, Penn. It's just cool that, like, just the other night in Boston, got a chance to go see the Beanpot, which is the college hockey, BU, BC, Harvard, Northeastern, right? So it's the 4 city schools in Boston, and just the bands and the student section. And so, when you talk about the old Philadelphia sports scene, the Big Five is not really a thing anymore, right? All these teams are in power conferences now, Villanova, but the Big Five back then was like, that was the mecca of college basketball, was in Philadelphia for a lot of that region. Playing at the Palestra, which was like an old barn. I'm sure Kobe and his dad, Jelly Bean Bryant, was a Philly guy, and I'm sure they spent some time there.
And the only reason I bring it up is because I'm watching it 2 nights ago and then again last night, and I'm like, Havertown, that's my guy.
Yeah.
So then I start looking at ages. So Kobe would have been, like, how old are you, 40?
I just turned 45.
And he would have been like 46, 47. Yep. So, I mean, damn, there, and we got Joe tomorrow. What a world. Now, with the game this evening against Carolina and Super Bowl 59 this weekend, and Joe O'Donnell, as many 9 to noon devotees know, is a tried and true diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. EAGLES, go Eagles. What are you thinking about more? Jordan stall, or hoping Eagles drives don't stall? What are you thinking about more? You can be
Jordan
honest.
Stall's off.
They're not going to fire you.
This
You're
is not
fantastic at what you do.
It's hopefully not a knock on Jordan Stall's offensive game, but he's more of a shutdown guy.
Yeah. Fallness has rules. You have guidelines. Speak from the heart.
I'd be more concerned with the Eagles stalling out than Jordan Stall bearing the Wild tonight.
That's not what you're more concerned with. It's what you're thinking about more.
Good point.
It's the Super Bowl. Of course you're thinking about drives that don't stall, led by Jalen Hurts, more than Jordan Stall. Of course you are.
Yeah.
So what do you find yourself thinking about more on this Thursday at TRIA Rink for VOX in the Box? Jack Razlovic or Jake Elliott? Is it Razlovic or bitch?
Honestly, right now, I'm trying not to get too worked up about Sunday, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I want the Wild to win one or both of these.
Here.
I know. Last night,
we're here to wind
when we
you
come
up.
back from Boston. Tuesday night after the game from Boston, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll dial up the NFC Championship game highlights on YouTube for 17 minutes on the flight.
Wow. Holy cow.
I was just like, why not? And relive that. So, I don't want to get too crazy, man, because when they were in the big game a couple years ago, honestly,
they played great.
Yeah, they did play great. And maybe they deserved a better outcome, but I did listen to a lot of WIP in Philadelphia that day leading up to the game, and people that are, my dad's age talking about they have only seen this a couple of times in their lifetime and how nice it would be, and it makes you super sentimental. I haven't gotten to that point yet this week. I'm sure by Sunday that will roll around where I'm going to be all geeked up.
How about our radio play-by-play counterpart, Merrill Reese?
Yeah.
You had him on a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah. Is what I do is I'll get the Voxes very early in the equation because now they're down there, Radio Row, the whole thing.
Right.
So had them both on. Merrill Reese, Mitch Holtis does it for the Kansas City Chiefs. Merrill, I believe, has called Eagles games 48 years.
Yeah.
He's in his mid to high 80s. And what's interesting is he starts in the mid 70s. And I remember when I was a freshman in high school, I just moved from Washington, D.C. to the Los Angeles area. And the Super Bowl was the Eagles and the Raiders at the Superdome. Kenny King, running back for the Raiders, stole the show. It was Jaworski, Carmichael, Wilbur Montgomery, all those cats. And the Raiders won. So, Merrill was 5-6 years into it, okay? And he's like, this is cool and everything. We'll go to the Super Bowl. They didn't get back to the Super Bowl for a quarter century.
Yeah.
So he's back on the call then. And then they lose again.
Right.
And then you got your guy, Donovan McNabb, throwing up in the huddle. He's so nervous at the end of a Super Bowl, and you got to be wondering, is my squad ever going to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Well, then, of course, they do it in this town, in the building that is home to the team they just crushed in the NFC title game, Super Bowl 52. We got the super special Philly special and everything. So you finally got the money. But think about our counterpart Merrill and all those Super Bowls he's called back to 1980. That's crazy.
I know. I just said to my buddy yesterday, I said, man, as much as I want it for the fans and people like my dad and, people older than him that haven't seen a whole lot, my kids to experience it because they were so young a few years back when they won. Somebody like Merrill Reese, man, to be, because, I haven't done this 50 years, but I've been broadcasting for a while. You don't get those special moments often.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and it could be the end for him, right? This could be the end of the line this year, next year, whatever. So
that's crazy.
Always nice to go out on top.
It's crazy how that works.
Yeah.
I mean, the L.A. Rams play-by-play voice, J.B. Long, right?
J.B. Long for the Rams.
Yeah, J.B. Long. Okay, so he worked for Rams.com. He was content guy or whatever. Did some play. So it's not like he just jumped off a turnip truck here. He had some experience. He's their play-by-play voice. Well, his first year in National Football League play-by-play, they go to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, they lose that low-scoring game to Belichick, but then they win a Super Bowl, and they had a shot this year. Then it came up snowy and stuff, and Mitch Holtis, the Vox for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, shoot, he's called this will be his third consecutive Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Isn't it unbelievable? Yeah. We're I don't know. I mean, our lots in life are blessed and they're fantastic, but climbing. Just being part of that group that gets to the gets to the top of the mountain to be pushed off.
Absolutely.
It ain't easy, man.
Yeah. I would love to call hockey games in June. The city would be crazy. Wow. I mean, look at the Timberwolves and the reception last year as they made that run, how the city gravitated to it. So,
we saw it here in 03-04-ish.
Yeah.
I'd been here 5 years full time, and it's the Wild was in the Western Conference Finals.
Yep.
Jean-Sebastien Giguère cheated with the pads. And on the other side of town, the Wolves went to the Western Conference Finals and lost to Kobe and the LA Lakers. Now that was unbelievable.
Right.
It's one game one night, and then the Wild the next night.
Can you imagine this place?
Wild in Anaheim at 9:50 Central. Next day, Wolves hosting at 7:10. Oh, it was unbelievable, Radio Joe.
I know. It gets me literally you get goosebumps thinking about that stuff, that type of playoffs, the spring weather. But the games that mean the most for the Twin Cities area would be unbelievable. And honestly, I think the Wild this year, if they can hang on here, because they're starting to leak a little oil, if they can get in the playoffs, I really do believe this is a team that has that camaraderie and the chemistry and the connectivity that can allow them to play a successful brand of hockey in the playoffs. And I'm not telling you they're going to go to the Stanley Cup final this year, but I do think this is a team that can maybe surprise some of the upper echelon teams in the Western Conference. Again, they got to get there. But wouldn't it be fun to have, a couple of teams make a run here?
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, much love. Yeah, you might need to pump the brakes a little bit. This Eagles thing has you way, way ahead of schedule.
Thinking about championships?
Well, I would be most concerned about having your first goal call in a week tonight.
Yeah.
Except for the Wild.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll think about scoring a goal. We'll start
when
there.
You phrase it like that, yeah.
Get to the Four Nations.
Can I practice on air?
Get a little chill. We'd love that. By all means, go ahead. I'll be Tom Reed if you want. I'll bring it on a break, and then I'll take too long, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Bah!" because it happened right before our very ears.
It's building echoes, huh?
No voice crack, though, or otherwise it's going to be on the button bar for a couple of weeks, Joe.
Please,
keep that in mind tonight.
So
I know. That is a night. There's two things in this business for me. I'm sorry to cut you off, but no,
we're good.
I hate overmodulating. If it's me or if I'm listening and somebody else overmodulating, I want to scream and be like, tell the engineer to turn it down.
Yeah, well, the board op making 19 an hour is doing the very best they can, Joe.
And so overmodulation is my one pet peeve, and number two would be blowing a call or, in that case, the old voice crack, which I have heard even recently with some professionals, when you're not ready for that moment, it happens, it surprises the heck out of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little excited.
Yeah, I understand. And generally speaking, to have that happen, the team with whom or for whom you're working is required to score goals.
Yeah.
So, therefore, over the last half week or so, it's, you know what, the serendipity of it, the positive transpiring from the negative, is your voice is really ready to go
I'm
tonight,
ready.
Radio Joe.
I'm ready.
Really ready to boom that thing. Well, it's going to be a low-scoring game tonight. Why wouldn't it? But I mean, it's just abundantly apparent that where your mind is heading a certain direction where we wonder if you're thinking more about Brent Burns or third-degree burns delivered by the speedy wide receiver Xavier Worthy on the fan. What do you think?
I'm not worried about that.
You ain't worried about Xavier Worthy?
No.
Oh, of course, you got
Eagles
super special
defense,
Darius
baby.
Slay. Yeah. Yeah.
I worry about him a lot.
Are you cocksure about this game?
I am.
Yes, and you know what, as are we. I mean, we like your squad for what it's worth. I happen, if I were spotting up, which I'm not, but I wish I could, but I'm not, I would take your team and lay 3.5 and 7.5 and throw caution to the wind. I would take them on the money line to win. Then I would lay 3.5. That would be my biggest play. And then I would lay 7.5 is probably my smallest play. And it's not like, I'm one of those, I can't stand the Chiefs, I'm tired of watching them. No, I like immortality. You don't see it frequently enough. No, I don't know how Super Special Spags handles Saquon and Brown and Smith and Goddard and the guy calling the plays for Philly, Kellen Moore. I mean, I ain't saying he's next level, but he's really, really good at figuring that stuff out.
Yeah.
It's just a pick your poison deal that I don't think is going to work the way of the champs.
I just have believed for a number of weeks now that Saquon Barkley is not going to be denied. His season's been too special. He's in this moment for the first time in his career. He's going to have a week off. It's his birthday, for crying out loud.
Will
this
you
guy's
have a
going to
cake
come
on
out.
Sunday? I mean, just like even cupcakes, potentially.
Is this because I live in Edina? Is this what you're saying?
No. I was just thinking more or less as an Eagles fan, I feel like you are obligated to celebrate the birthday, and maybe cake is a part of the spread.
Can I find a member of the Wild hierarchy that tells me he lives in Fridley? I mean, one time, everything's Edina. And Fridley's awesome.
Well, Woodbury, too. It's Woodbury, it's Edina.
It's Afton.
Oh, of course
super
it is.
special Afton
We're
Alps and everything.
We're all happy for Afton.
It's almost here, man. Canes tonight, Isles on Saturday.
Yep.
Mission Mardi Gras on Sunday. You got to be going to the game, right?
No.
Why?
No, my parents are coming in. They had planned a few weeks back to come watch the kids play some hockey in the earlier portion of the weekend, and then I was looking at it going, you know what, that's actually Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
And then they won a few games, and here they are. So
brunch at Interlochen, of course.
So if I could find you, if I found you a ticket in the building and you didn't have to pay, would you go?
Oh, absolutely.
You would?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'd be like, Mom and Dad, sorry.
Yeah, can
you watch the kids?
Yeah, this has turned into a babysitting affair.
Our youngest has a hockey tournament in Fargo, so my wife's taking him up there, so they'll be buzzing back on Sunday. It's going to be chaos, but by 5:30 Central Time, I'll be locked in.
I've never been to a Super Bowl. Nordo's heard this story. I'll share it with you in truncated fashion. While living in the Los Angeles area, going to high school, my friend Ricky Rodriguez and I were 90 minutes north of San Diego. Washington, I grew up in D.C. The Redskins then. Absolutely my Eagles, my favorite team, big time. Didn't get, lived in part of Southeast D.C. called Anacostia, which was right next to RFK Stadium. Didn't get a chance to go to many games, but in a roundabout way, met a bunch of players. My mom found that to be, God rest her soul, important. Like I meet players and stuff, so I was really into the Redskins. Well, now there's a divorce, and I move, and I'm in Southern California. Well, Washington's playing Buffalo at Jack Murphy, 90 minutes south. So my parents, I find not a website, obviously. I find a route to buy 2 Super Bowl tickets for like $750 each, and I ain't paying that. I'm in high school, so my parents and Ricky Rodriguez's parents get together. They pool their money, and Ricky and I have tickets to the Super Bowl. We drive down. It's an hour and a half before the game. Get up there to get it scanned. Fakes.
Oh, my gosh.
Fraudulent.
It might have been the first fakes ever.
1,500. Parents, 1,500. Dad.
Was it out of the classified newspaper? Like, how'd they find these tickets? You're right. There's no internet.
Can't get into the bars around the stadium. 16 years old.
Did you drive an hour and a half back? What'd you do?
And listen to it on the radio.
Well, there you go.
So, I'm so excited. I had the super special Joe Theismann game-worn sweater. I was going to paint my face. I was so excited. Couldn't get in. They're like, there's nothing we can do about this. Like, well, that's awful. I don't remember how it happened. It was some ticket scalping bit that we bought 2 days before the game. Do you think the Wild will score this evening?
Yes.
Okay. Do you anticipate a low-scoring game?
Yes, I think you're right on there.
You know what I'm saying? It's like we're having trouble scoring, maybe begging for that Four Nations face-off wire to emotionally, physically, spiritually, and just overall recharge and then come back and make a run. But it's in looking back at Carolina, I know a month ago we got that 4-0, which when Hines joins an hour and 15 minutes from now, I'm going to ask him that has to be one of the most complete performances by the team this season. Shoot, Gus only faced 21 shots. These guys are like third in the NHL for shots.
Yeah.
So like that was a conundrum in its own right. But Carolina plays in nothing but low-scoring games, 3-2, 3-1, and we're having trouble scoring. It just seems like an underwhelming type game this evening.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, and Carolina just got shut out in their last game in Winnipeg a couple nights back. So you got two teams that, are coming off a shutout loss. You got two teams that pride themselves on defense. Of course, we say that it'll probably be 6-5 and a barn burner, but I would expect a 2-1 type of game.
Does the Four Nations face-off excite you?
Yeah, I think it's going to be cool because the players are really bought in. You watch these guys do their interviews, and they are ready to compete. So I'm just hoping that the Wild come out of it healthy because they got some big players going, and the last thing you need is something bad to happen there to a Boldy, a Faber, an Eriksson, a Brodin, a Gustafsson, right? Because you can't afford that. So, but I think it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to watching it because I think there's going to be bad blood, and I think these guys are really going to lay it on the line.
And politically speaking, tariffs, anthems being booed, Francis Scott Key rolling in his grave with the Star-Spangled Banner getting booed. It's only going to intensify February 15th, USA, Canada in Montreal. What an unbelievably cool atmosphere that's going to be.
That's going to be fun. And Sweden and Finland, they're bitter rivals. It's a pretty cool setup, and it's all kind of teasing the Olympics next year, right, where the NHL will participate again, which is exciting for hockey fans. So this is fun. We'll see where it goes after this, but between the Four Nations face-off this year, the Olympics next year, the game's best players will be on the international stage, and I love it.
So what do you find yourself thinking about more? Ryan Carter or Jalen Carter, an imposing presence on the interior of the defensive line for the EAGLES?
No offense to Ryan Carter, it's Jalen by a landslide. In fact, I don't even want to think. This is not, again, a knock on Carts, but if I told him I was thinking about him, he'd probably slap me upside my head. So,
Isaiah Pacheco is going to try to run between the tackles right into the awaiting belly of Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Not the arms, the belly. He's going to eat him.
Now you're getting me fired up, PA.
Well, I told you.
Stop the run.
If you're
starts with stopping the run.
If you're trying to not think about this game, well, you picked the wrong place to stop to chat on the radio. It's not like we're obsessed or thinking about it a ton, but we know you are.
Yeah.
And therefore, we are here to serve you and help you calm down, and hopefully you don't need the metaphorical therapeutic Davenport of love on Monday. You're still underdogs, but that point spread's coming down.
It is.
I started to bet the Eagles a little bit. Yeah, went to
Sharps.
Open 1.5, went up to 2. Those are also the Sharps who crush early.
Yep.
And then it's come down to 1. That may be the Squares. Those just arriving in the 702, getting .20, putting on lampshades and saying, they just scored 99 bottles of beer on the wall. They just scored 55 points. I'll take 1,000 on the Eagles.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
Love that.
All right, well, call a good one tonight.
Thanks,
we'll be
brother.
listening as usual, and best of luck to your squad this weekend. All right?
This was fun. Thanks for having me.
Joe O'Donnell, that's old Radio Joe, calls Minnesota Wild games on the radio, including tonight, 6:30. We have a 6:30 puck drop this evening, FM 100.3, KFAN, your audio home for the Minnesota Wild. So listen if you're so inclined. 9 to noon as a Vox in the Box at TRIA Rink in the capital city. Back after this.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It may be sold out, but we've got your only way in. Verizon's Fan Fest is the ultimate big game watch party in Minneapolis. Meet Vikings legend Steve Hutchinson. Enjoy live music, great food, interactive games, all while taking in the big game on the big screen at Target Center. Enter for your chance to win now. KFAN.com keyword contest. That's KFAN.com keyword contest.
As 9 to noon mentioned in the open, we are not only at VOX in the Box TRIA Rink. Members of the Minnesota Wild are assembling on the ice now for a morning skate, which is 30 minutes earlier than usual because the game is 30 minutes earlier than usual this evening. 6:30, FM 100.3. KFAN. We have Bolds. We have let's get one in a row for Zach Bogo. One in a row for Zach Bogo. You got, I think that's Fleury. I'm not sure of that. Is that Fleury over there? Don't know. But this could be an optional. And Carolina is not skating today, having lost a couple of days ago to Winnipeg, 3-0. So Carolina, this is the penultimate for Carolina and the Minnesota Wild before the Four Nations face-off break. But the Wild have both of them at home, and hopefully they're able to win both. Now, as we mentioned in the opening segment, podcastable, KFAN.com, 9 to noon on demand. Just so many massive deadline-related trades in the NBA.
Yeah.
Former Timberwolf Zach LaVine, he was with the Bulls. He gets traded to Sacramento, makes his home debut last night. Lost by 19 to Orlando. Billy Johnny, Christy Susie, Tamika Antoine with their game-worn Levines. They're super excited. Mom, I know I have the option to have the DeRozan. I'm going to burn my Fox. The Sabonis is too small. Can I get a Zach LaVine? Sure, honey. Slid him right into the starting lineup. Shot 4 of 13, 0-4 from 3, and they lose by 20.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Covenant, my brother. That's a kick in the hope-selling business. Now with OKC and Phoenix, no trades involved there, at least for now. OKC beat Phoenix by 30 last night. Chaff, meet wheat. Now sit down and shut up. And our team, 4 behind the 4th spot. We're 4 games out of the 4th spot and home court in round 1. And we're chasing Denver, which kind of bugs me because all we do is beat Denver, but all we do is chase Denver.
Right.
All we do is beat Denver and Joker Guy, and all we do is chase Denver. So that's kind of what's taking shape here in the NBA up to the trade deadline today. Kevin O'Connell hopefully wins Coach of the Year tonight at NFL Honors. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. That's going to be cool. But back to those trades and everything, man. The Bulldog got moved.
Yeah, and that's really. I mean, if you want to know, I mean, this is LFL style. If you're looking about where like Daniel Tice is going to the Oklahoma City Thunder,
well, the Mark Williams move is big.
It is for the Lakers.
Yes.
That's the guy that they wanted.
Yes.
And even prior to the Luka trade, they were talking about how do we get a center and what does that look like with Anthony Davis?
Yep. Rob Lowe lookalike guys making plays.
Yeah. And Anthony Davis doesn't want to be a center. Well, they just got a guy with a longer wingspan than Wemby. This Mark Williams cat from Charlotte.
Yeah.
But you're right. Here's the move here.
And they gave up Dalton Connect, who's a rookie, who is a sharpshooter.
But he's going to get a ton of run with Charlotte now, I think.
Probably, but, I mean, he had fallen out of favor with J.J. Redick. I mean, because my man started out off the bench. He's scoring like 20 a game.
Yep.
Then he hits a dry spell. They start him. It's bad. You got social media clips with J.J. Redick dropping JC bombs at Dalton Connect for not running the right play. I mean, it was completely pear-shaped. And when you have a rookie who can score like that, they don't generally get traded. But I guess to get the big man to play with Luka and LeBron, that's what it required.
Well, let me ask you this, though, about the Jimmy Butler trade. So Jimmy goes to Golden State, whether it's the non-compliance and really kind of the indignance with which he was carrying himself in Miami. He's getting suspended, all of that.
Yeah, he's a fool.
He wants to move. Well, Golden State picks him up, and they dealt Wiggins, so Andrew Wiggins is now going to South Beach. Slow-mo, Kyle Anderson going to South Beach. I didn't know P.J. Tucker was still in the league. He's been traded about 6 times in the last 6 days.
What's up, Russo Radio?
But he may have played for the Heat years ago. So
can you imagine the tension and stress Russo Radio, the way he handles a beat writing job would have been had he caught wind. Oh wow, they're going to trade if he's on the NBA beat. Oh wow, they're going to trade Luka. Oh wow, Anthony Davis is going to get traded. I mean, he wouldn't have slept. It would have been unbelievable.
No, he wouldn't have slept. Can you picture Russo like a Beautiful Mind style trying to break down a 4-team trade in the NHL and all the picks and all the compensation, and we got LTIR cash and all of that?
The underrated work P.J. Tucker must have done in the KHL. It would have been in the third paragraph, and it would have been revealing and eye-opening.
But Golden State went ahead and immediately signed him to a 2-year, $120 million+ extension, so he's going to be there. They're fighting hard, obviously. It's maybe the dawn has gotten closer to dusk as it pertains to Steph Curry's career.
They might have an MB3.
But is that a contending team in the West right now?
Yeah.
Because Jimmy's got to get off the shelf. And I'm not trying to doubt Jimmy, but maybe Jimmy at this stage of his career ain't exactly the guy that's just going to roll into town and immediately make things work.
Agreed.
He's a naturally contentious person. Can he yield to Steph? Because that's what you got to do. You got to yield. You are not the sheriff of this particular town in the Bay. That's Steph.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that? We know Draymond's got something to say on every single topic.
And he's hurt every minute of the day.
Yeah.
Steph doesn't explode the way he used to because he's right at the end. You got the Bulldog dictating tempo on Spo's team as to when he's going to play and when he's going to practice, and now he's gone and everything.
Do you think I'm dumb?
They have an MB3, but it's lowercase MV. It's not like all caps MV, so. Oh, the target of wish to shoot in the West is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Correct.
All right, they just beat Phoenix by 30 last night. No KD, who cares? Phoenix ain't going to the finals.
Who's their MV3, do you think?
SGA.
Yep.
Jalen Williams, the big guy who shoots the threes.
Hell yeah.
And Holmgren.
Right.
Who's going to come back. That has some MV3 to it, all caps, because it's young.
No, I like that. So you're right on Golden State. What do you think about the Spurs sneaking in and making some noise here? Because the Luka trade, the Luka trade's obviously the biggest blockbuster. I think the Lakers are now in a spot. And by the way, the Lakers, they make this trade. They're top 5 in the West right now and have the ability to make that work. I think Luka's going to be back next week, maybe. And it's just one game, so excuse me for being a rube. De'Aaron Fox now being the dominant ball-handling guard versus Sacramento, where he just left, and it was DeRozan, and of course Sabonis has got his hands on the ball all the time in that lineup. De'Aaron Fox looks ready to be the captain of that ship and offer 8-9 dimes a game. Wemby doing his thing, Stephon Castle, they're trying to raise the kid on the fly. I think the Spurs could actually kind of creep their way into the playoff mix. They're 2 games out right now.
Question is, do they have an MB3?
I don't think they do yet.
I'm not sure De'Aaron Fox is a 1 in an MB3 in a postseason type situation.
In a deep run situation, no.
I would bet Wemby is, but he's still super young.
Yeah.
But anyway,
who's the other guy? Devin Vassell, maybe?
They don't have one. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. They don't.
So the NBA trade deadline is today. The NHL trade deadline is early March, and the Wild take on Carolina this evening. We segue back to the lesson at hand as John Hines, hush tones here at TRIA. John Hines is addressing the guys. about the morning skate plan in advance of taking on Speedy Carolina this evening. So we will pause and bring Russo Radio into the equation when we return to Vox in the Box at TRIA Rink on your audio home for everything funky and fun. KFAN.
The lottery is not about getting rich. It's about helping people, and it always has been. The lottery is what helped raise the Great Wall of China, build the roads of Rome, and today in South Carolina, it's what generates millions of dollars each year for scholarships like the SC Hope, Life, and Palmetto Fellows. The South Carolina Education Lottery is investing in you. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou to learn more.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
What are you looking for in a new smart TV? 4K picture quality? High quality and immersive sound? A sleek design? All of those are givens, but only the new Roku Pro Series has all of those and the Roku streaming experience. An award-winning OS. Get fast, easy access to all your apps like iHeart, where you can stream all your favorite music, radio, and podcasts all day. And regular, all-inclusive trips to Roku City. The new Roku Pro Series. A smart TV built by the streaming pros.